So let us look at Article 5, Paragraph 1 of the India-USA Treaty. And this deals with a fixed place PE. This is the most common form of PE which has been dealt with for years and years and decades, right? And in most cases, it is this form of PE which was relevant until maybe last 10 years ago. But with the change in the business model that is happening, right? Somewhere other forms of PE have also gained large amount of recognition. Let's look at this article. For the purposes of this convention, which means for the purpose of this particular treaty, right, and not for the purpose of Income Tax Act. You cannot apply the meaning of PE which is given in the treaty for the purposes of Income Tax Act. Like I said, in some cases, definition of PE is given for transfer pricing purposes specifically, which we looked at earlier. The term permanent establishment means. Now, the use of the word means indicate that this definition is exhaustive, right? Unless and until you get something contrary to this in the subsequent paragraph of Article 5. A fixed place of business. Let's look at each of these words independently. First, fixed place. When I say a fixed place, this could be in the form of an office, or it could even be in the form of an equipment, right? So let's say, for example, for oil industry, there are oil rigs which are provided by various foreign companies, right? Those rigs are stationed at a particular place and they extract oil out of it. Even that rig could be construed as a fixed place of business. There are various vending machines which at one point in time were owned by various foreign companies and they were kept in various offices. What you were required to do, or even today they are existing in many of these offices, you just put in a coin, the machine is going to pull out whatever you order, and that's about it. Even that vending machine could be a fixed place of business. When you say a fixed place of business, again, the second question which comes up is, should it be fixed at a particular place? Or if I'm carrying out certain activities within a particular geographical area, can it be said that even that amounts to a fixed place of business? Now that is known as generally a geographical coherence. We're going to understand this in the next few slides. But like I said, for fixed place of business, it need not necessarily be an office. Even an equipment or a machinery can be a fixed place of business. Second, fixed place need not necessarily refer to a particular point. It can even refer to a particular geographical area where the activities of the foreign company are predominantly carried on. Now, what is the fixed place of business? Now, that eternal debate in terms of, whether business includes profession. Generally, a profession would not be included in business unless what you are carrying on alongside your profession has the nature of being a commercial activity. Now, what I mean by this is that, let's say we'll take in a case of a doctor. A doctor not only provides consultancy, but if he is also providing X-ray services for which he's purchased or leased certain machines, right? And he's providing those services to his client, the income from consultancy will be income from profession, something which could be covered in the Independent Personal Services Clause. But the income from that particular X-ray machinery will be income from business, right? Through which, what does this word through mean? What this means is that when we refer to a fixed place, the business which we are considering should be carried on through that place. There's no point having a fixed place of business, right, from where the business is not carried on. So let's say if there is a liaison office that is there. A liaison office is a fixed place of business, right? But it is not the business which is carried out from there. What is carried out are certain activities which are preparatory or auxiliary in nature. So even though it will get covered as a fixed place, right, generally we can say that from that particular place, the business of the enterprise is not carried on. It's only dissemination of information, which may be a part of business. I mean, one school of thought is that why should that not be a business, right? Because it is also a part of business without which the revenue generation may not happen. But if you are having an office through which the business is not carried on, it cannot be construed as a PE. The business of the enterprise and enterprise. Now, what does this signify? The word "and" signifies here that when you are looking at the concept of a PE, you have to look at it entity by entity, right? I cannot say that between 10 companies, 10 foreign companies, there is an office which is available, right? Now, this office will be construed as a PE of all the 10 companies. No, you need to see it on an entity by entity basis. The concept of a group PE in India at least is not recognized until now, is wholly or partly. You may carry on the entire business from such a place, you may carry on some part of the operations. If you carry on some part of the operations, there has to be an attribution of income which needs to be done, and accordingly tax will be leviable on the proportionate income. For this, you should refer back to Article 7, which is business profit. Carried on. What is the meaning of carried on? Carried on signifies that the activity should be more than something which is casual in nature. There has to be some form of continuity. A one-off activity would generally not result in a PE unless the nature of business is as such, right? Now, when you talk about a fixed place of business, this could be either owned or rented by the foreign company itself, right? Or it could be at the disposal of the foreign company. When we say at disposal, what it means is that that foreign company for which we are looking at on whether they have a PE or not has a right to enter this fixed place of business at their will. I mean, they don't need to go and take permission from someone. It's like, it's as good as if you were owning that particular property. Not in literal terms, but the right to use that property is unfettered. There are no restrictions, there are no qualifications that, you can't use it at this point in time, you can't use it at this point in time. So if someone else is present, maybe you do not have a right to enter that property. All those things are not applicable. Before we move forward, let us just examine the right of disposal in some examples. So if the foreign company employee or consultants do not have a right to enter into the building without permission, right? We cannot say that the building or the office for that matter is at their disposal. If there is a person who comes for a meeting at a specific conference room of a client, right, on a regular basis, but he's a salesperson, we cannot say that he has a right of disposal over the property. I mean, the client can any day tell him that we do not want to buy this thing from you anymore. Please do not come to our office. Leave alone the conference room. If there's a demarcated area at the subsidiary's office, which is allocated to the foreign company employee, yes, that would mean that the office or the space or the area is at the disposal of the foreign company and therefore should constitute a PE. If there's a consultant trainer who's providing training to client at their office, since he's a consultant, he's not an employee, right? The moment his contract is over, he would be restricted from having access to that place. It cannot be said that the place is at its disposal. Now we use the word fixed place, right? What does this exactly mean? Like I said, should it be that in a particular area to be a fixed place, it has to be around a particular point? Or as long as we can define that, okay, this is a particular area and at different places you are doing it, but you are within this particular area, would that also amount to a fixed place of business or not? There are two factors here which needs to be considered. One is the geographical coherence, which is what I've spoken here. As long as you are working at different points, but they can be identified or allocated to a specific area, it is said that you have a geographical coherence, and therefore this fixed place of business exists. So some of the examples for this could be, if there are different sections of a large mine, if people are working in different sections but of a single mine, that mine and not those different sections would constitute a fixed place of business and therefore a PE. If there are various blocks in an oil field where a foreign company employees are working, again, it's the entire oil field which is constituting a geographical area and not the various blocks. You can't say that I'm working on block A in the first 2 months, block B in next 2 months, and therefore, overall basis, the period should not be considered. Different rooms in a hotel hired by a lawyer firm. So there's a foreign law firm which hires room in a hotel where their employee come and provide consultancy services to their clients. In that cases, all these different rooms will be considered together as a geographical area and a fixed place of business. The second is commercial coherence. What this means is that if there is a particular contract, okay, even though this is split into 2 or 3 parts, as long as commercially you can club them and say that this is one, even that could be an indicative character and contributing to the existence of a fixed place. So if you are carrying out software upgradation for different bank branches under a single contract, since the contract is single, commercially it's one and the same thing. Now you may come back and say that we are working at different branches, there's no fixed place of business. But because of the fact that commercially it's a one contract, all the branch taken together will constitute a fixed place of business. Painting a complete building under a single contract for a single client, that building would constitute a fixed place of business. Now, whether the following are included in fixed place, I'm not saying whether it's a PE or not. Please note, it's only a question is whether these amount to a fixed place or not. A liaison office, yes, but it does not constitute a PE if it is working in accordance with the specified guidelines. A project office, yes, it constitutes a PE as well. A branch office again is a PE as well as fixed place. Residential premises, definitely it's a fixed place, but whether a PE or not, given that it is residential, the nature for which a property can be used does not make a difference to whether it constitutes a PE or not. If a property is being used for the purpose of business, it doesn't matter whether it's a residential one or a commercial one. Vessel used for seismic exploration, yes. Oil pipeline. Now this pipeline may run under the sea, different parts of the country and all, right? Would it constitute a PE? Yes, because the pipeline is a fixed one, right? So what if it is covering a large amount of area? It is fixed to the place where it is there, right? Sales booth at an exhibition, if you are concluding sales from this, then obviously it's a fixed place of business. Computer server, internet website, Indian space, permanent area used in custom depot. Now while this constitutes a PE, as well as a computer server constitutes a PE, an internet website, an Indian space, there are divergent views in terms of whether they constitute a PE or not, right? And there are conflicting judgments. For internet website, the tilt is that it should not be. For Indian space, like I said, there are divergent views on whether it constitutes a PE or not.